Coaching Life podcast. How you doing today, Coach?
Doing well. I was just checking my time on my truck,
Parking.
sitting right outside the window there. I want to make sure that I got plenty of time. I'm good to go until 2:01 today. 2:01.
That should do us.
What time is it?
12:30. 12:26.
So yeah, we can talk for an hour and a half.
Probably won't be a hard thing to do.
We can talk for an hour and a half. It doesn't mean people have to listen to us for an hour and a half.
I did get, someone mentioned to me the other day that they don't get to listen to all of our episodes in one setting. They struggle to listen to it all in one setting.
I mean, that's podcasts. I don't listen to most podcasts I listen to, I don't listen to in one sitting.
Yeah.
Unless it's a 15-minute podcast.
Well, remember when we started this, we said that we would try to keep the time down so everyone could listen in one setting.
Goals are meant to be reevaluated. They're fluid, right?
It's true.
And I think when we first started, we were right around 30 minutes, between 30 and 40 minutes. The average time for a podcast of all podcasts in the world, all 7 billion podcast episodes, when you take the average of the time. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's between 38 and 42 minutes. So
what have I noticed? I feel like I've noticed Jocko throwing some stuff out there that is like 8 and 11 minutes long.
He has more than one podcast now. I mean, he has the original Jocko podcast. That's the 3-hour, 4-hour long interviews and all that. But then he does some Jocko moments and things like that, and some subscription type stuff as well. He jumped into the subscription boat there, the pay for this podcast. Yeah. Why wouldn't you? I mean,
yeah, for sure. Especially
if you can do it. Yeah,
a lot of golden stuff that
he does. It's worth it.
Yeah, for sure. I tend to stay away from those podcasts though.
The subscribe ones?
No, the 10 to 12, 8 to 12 minute.
I have a few in my subscriber list.
I've subscribed to a couple, thinking, well, this will be neat. I'll just listen to them, and
you would think
I don't,
but you don't. I don't as much
because it's easier to start something and just let it go. You listen to it like when you're driving,
and then come back
and stuff
to
like
it.
that, and then yeah.
I mean, I guess if it catches you, there's one called Compete Every Day.
Oh, really?
Is it Compete Every Day?
I think I have that. I think I'm on that.
Because he wrote a book also. I'm looking down through my podcasts here.
Oh no. Whoop.
You find it?
This is actually a different one. That was the one I was thinking of. Let's see. Do you do the Max Price, the High School Coaches Club?
Yes.
It's
got like the green headphones. He hasn't updated it in a while.
No, he hasn't updated in a while. See? We're not the only ones that miss a couple weeks,
right,
folks.
The ABCA podcast, they're updated. The American Baseball Coaches Association, they did September 30th, and then this past Monday of this week was their latest one. The High School Coaches Club, when was the last time he did anything? That's Max. I follow him on Twitter or X. Max Price, is that what you said? Is that what you said his name, didn't you?
Yeah, Max
December 2nd, no, February of this year.
I must unsubscribe from that.
ABCA?
Oh, no, I didn't unsubscribe. I got ABCA.
Ahead of the Curve by Jonathan Gallagher. He hasn't updated anything since January. No, that's not true. It just hadn't refreshed. He's still going strong.
Oh, we better check High School Coaches Club.
He's still going strong.
February 17th.
They fell off there. So we have to shoot Max Coach Price a message, see what happened there.
Maybe we can have him come on to the coaching line.
I'll tell you, the very first here, while we're looking up old podcasts, Pat, and today's a baseball day. There's 4 games on the day, man. Thinking about taking off early and just going and vegging on the couch and watching baseball all day. Oh, they're gonna be all right.
Oh.
They fell down 2-1, didn't they?
No.
They're still tied 1-1.
All series are 1-1.
And not after last night.
Oh, that's right.
Because the Mets are up on the Phillies. This is it for the Phillies tonight.
The Dodgers are down.
And the Dodgers are down, which I'm fine with that. I don't like either of those teams. Like Cleveland needs to just knock those guys out.
Let's get rid of the Dodgers.
Get rid of the Dodgers
and the Yankees. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, Mike.
Oh, is Jeremiah a Yankees
No.
fan?
We're all Guardians fans.
I thought you were saying Maya when you said that.
My in-laws
Oh, really?
or future to be in-laws. They're not. That's not established yet. Jake's girlfriend Bella.
Jake's in-laws. You're not your in-laws.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. They wouldn't be my in-laws, would they? Technically, I guess.
So the first
I would have an in-law that connected us, but that wouldn't make us in-laws.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure that makes them feel a lot better.
Huh. I'm not seeing it.
What are you looking for?
I guess I'm not since I started using Spotify. I probably haven't listened to it because I haven't listened to this in a while. The very first
I might have looked
podcast.
that up on Spotify.
So there it is. The last time Jack Wilson did anything on this. So the very first podcast that I ever listened to on the old iPhone, or not iPhone, the old iPod, white 20 gigabytes with the spin wheel. Do you have one of those old iPods?
I never had one. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, when Apple first came up with podcasts and podcasting back in 2005, iTunes, I think, added podcasting, and right around 2007, podcasts started to grow, and they would show up. All of a sudden, this new thing showed up on your because you had to plug it into your computer. This was back in the old days, kids. You had to plug your iPod into your computer to update it. Yeah. And I plugged my iPod into my computer one day, and downloaded the upgrade or whatever it was, the update of all of my music that I had loaded into iTunes, and this new title showed up on the iPod called Podcasts. And I'm like, podcast? What is that? What? And
no way. This is your journey, huh?
This is my podcast journey.
This
crazy.
Was
yeah. And so I started listening to, because it was wild, Pat, because you remember, I listened to radio shows all the time back, morning radio shows, but you had to get up, and then wherever you started, they were going, right? I mean, but podcasts. I
feel like there's something nostalgic about the sound of talk radio.
I know. When you hear a show.
And that's what this is.
There is something nostalgic.
That's what podcasts are.
It's really what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can listen to it from start to finish whenever you want.
Whenever you want. Yeah.
And that was fascinating. That was innovative. It was new. And so the first podcast that I latched onto, and I didn't really follow and subscribe any podcasts immediately, but right around 2011, or maybe, I have to look back. I may be wrong on the date, but he went strong all the way to February of 2023, and he hasn't done anything since. But was Top Coach Podcast. Top Coach Podcast, which was a baseball podcast, and a guy just sat down with a microphone, his computer, and he would call coaches and interview them, and it was phenomenal. I mean, I listened to so many. That's how I got turned on to Kevin Wilson. And just so many. I tell you, one of the best ones is a 2-part series. It was a 2-parter that he did with Cal Bailey, the legendary coach at West Virginia State University, who's passed now. But
so he did all types of coaches, or just
it was baseball. It was all
coaches.
Baseball.
Did he talk high school coaches?
It was high school, pro, college. Yeah, you name it. And
That's cool.
It
I'll have to look
it
that
was
up,
really good. The Top Coach podcast was
never,
really good.
Never looked into that.
Highly recommend it. So, yeah.
Stuff.
It's a good baseball day. Big baseball day.
Yeah, so the Guardians, if they Jake and Maya and I were debating this, because that Skubal that they've got is a stud.
Yeah.
I mean, he kept the Guardians from scoring. They had 3 hits.
Did he pitch the day you guys went?
No.
Hey, everybody. Pat went to the ALDS game 1.
Yes.
Game 1. Yeah, last Saturday. I was talking about, April and I were looking at it. We almost bought them. I mean, I had them right here on my phone, but we were like, it's going to be the one Saturday that we have nothing to do. Because OU was
They were
off.
expensive, though. I think we paid $150 a ticket.
You waited too long.
Yes.
I was going to pay $85 because I had them they were in my cart. All I had to do was press purchase. Right. And I said, let's just take a day off. I mean, let's just sit at home on a Saturday for once,
Yeah, don't blame you for that.
But they get to the LCS, we'll pay the price for those. That's what we had last time.
Can you buy them now?
Not yet. Actually, I have to look. They do come on sale.
I don't know how they could, because you'd have to know who's going to be the home team.
Well, you just buy game one. You just buy game one at that park. What?
Yeah, but you don't know.
You don't know what day it's going to be. Actually, no, we did that last time.
You can't do that because you won't know if game one is going to be.
Well, no, it won't be game one. It'll just be game one at that park at Cleveland.
Oh.
It might be game 3, but it's.
And you won't know what day it is?
You will know what day.
You'd have to know the day after it's done. You wouldn't know before.
Yeah. And I don't remember how we did it last time because
This is my first.
We bought ALCS tickets 3 years ago, and they lost in the.
Well, no, I don't want you. I
Did they
don't want
lose
you
in the
buying them again.
ALDS? Or was it? Maybe it was the DS.
The Guardians.
Did they lose to the Yankees in the wild card or the LDS?
Wild card,
The
I
division.
think. The last time they went to the ALCS was when they went to the World Series.
Well, I know they didn't make it because we didn't get to go. Whatever it was, I just
you
couldn't
have
remember if
went?
it was. I couldn't remember what tickets we had.
Did
If
you
we
have
had-
went to? Oh, they didn't make it to the CS.
Yeah, I feel like.
Oh, okay.
I feel like we had first round, like first game 1 tickets to the ALCS if they had made it, but they didn't make it. They lost to the Yankees.
So you bought them before?
Yeah,
the
it was the
previous
division series that they lost to the
I have to
Yankees.
go on and see if they're.
And we bought them ahead of time, and then even if they don't make it, you get a refund. And ironically enough, we actually also bought AL or NLDS National League Division Series tickets for the Cardinals that year, and they did not make it.
Do me a favor.
Out of the wild card, so we got a refund for both the Guardians and the
Do me a
Cardinals.
favor. Don't buy Guardians ALCS
'Cause last time I
tickets
did it,
until they.
I'll wait
until
till
the
yeah.
series. Is
Yeah,
But no, that skewball guy's good. But
Yeah.
the it's funny because you this isn't a focal point. Obviously, it's forgotten now. But Cleveland won the first game 7-0. They scored 5 runs in the first inning, and the pundits and the analysts were all, "They put up 5 runs in the first inning. They started hot." But that 5-run inning started well. It's not exactly true. Stephen Kwan led off the inning, almost hit it out.
Yeah.
Hit it off the top of the wall. Next guy walked. Jose Ramirez hit a ball to third base,
yeah,
and the third baseman didn't handle it.
yeah.
Right at him.
Right.
Couldn't handle it. Bounced into left field, and run scored. Next
Yeah.
guy hit a single. Next guy hit a 3-run homer. So
Playoff
that's
team?
probably a double play ball.
Game could have been completely different.
Yeah, right. But I mean, things like that happen. But it's just funny how
They only needed 1 run to beat them, though.
they're overlooked. Well, that's true. Yeah. Once we go, the other day the Tigers hit a 3-run bomb off Class A,
Yeah,
who's been unhittable this year.
Right.
But that's baseball.
it is.
I mean, he throws 100 miles per hour.
As a starter.
No. He's a closer.
No, that's right.
Class
He's
A.
the closer. Yeah.
Yeah, but
But no,
do you know how hot a ball's coming off a bat if you make contact with?
I looked at 100 miles an hour from our hack attack this year, and that's nuts.
And you know what he throws?
It's
He
nuts.
only throws 2 pitches, a splitter and a cutter.
What was the balloons for?
Must have.
Balloons.
They're happy about that.
Thumbs up.
Splitter splitter and a cutter, 100 miles per hour.
Those two. Oh, wow.
I mean, not all of them
That's
are 100, but
crazy.
he's right tonight.
Yeah.
95 to 103.
But still, I mean, that's what made Rivera so unhittable. 97-mile-an-hour cutter. You knew he had 1 pitch. You knew it was coming every time.
Yeah.
But it's 97 miles an hour, and it's a cutter.
And it's cutter.
Good luck.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. Did you watch the Dodgers and Padres both nights?
No, I didn't.
I tell you, it was crazy. Mookie Betts' first at bat last night, he hit a ball down the left field line that Profar went over. So 2 nights ago, Profar went over. The big highlight was he robbed it. I mean, the ball, like there were fans whose gloves were up, ready to catch it, and he took it. Like he caught it, and you didn't see that. You thought it landed because he's standing out there jumping up and down, looking into the stands, kind of trolling him a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he finally shows the ball. Betts was almost on his way to third. I think that was a home run, and he did that. And last night, Betts' first at bat, they were already down 4 runs, I think. First at bat, hits one in the exact same place. Profar goes over to rob it. Same thing. I'm like, there's no way that same thing happened because he acted like he didn't catch it. I'm like, well, he did that the other night. He didn't. It hit off the end of his glove and landed in the stand. So it actually was a home run. It was Betts actually stopped on his way to second and was getting ready to go back to the dugout because he thought the same thing happened. And they were like, the umps were like, nope, that's a home run.
Yeah.
It was crazy. The same exact thing.
And how close it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Guardians in their 3-0 loss, they hit a ball that, 3 feet is a home run.
Yeah.
So it's a 3-3 game at that point. I mean, they would have been up 3-0. Then Class A would have got hit, and then it'd been another more miserable Cleveland story. Did you see Stephen Kwan's catch that everyone's arguing about?
Yes. What do you think?
I think it was a catch.
You thought it hit the heel? I didn't. My first thought was, I hit the ground.
Well, that was my first thought.
I mean, it did hit the ground, but was the thumb of the glove underneath it?
Correct.
That was the thing, because the ball bounced, but did it bounce here or did it bounce here?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
have you ever seen
it bounced here?
Like, one of the craziest things that I noticed a couple years ago when we went and watched the Guardians, Stephen Kwan's glove is like
floppy,
massive.
Oh yeah,
it's huge,
like a 13 or 14 inch glove.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's big. I'm thinking it's like 16 inches. I'm serious. It looks massive, but
which allows you to make that kind of a play,
I guess. But yeah, I think it is so big that it bounced off his glove into his glove.
Yeah.
Then everyone's arguing about it.
It's just so hard to determine. It's so hard to determine. Like, I mean, because they called it a catch on the field.
They did.
Right?
Yes.
And so I wonder if they hadn't called it a catch and they reviewed it, would they have overturned that?
I don't know.
Probably not.
I don't know.
Like, it's one of those football plays where it's like, well, whatever the call is on the field is probably going to be either way.
Yeah, because I think you see that happen 1,000 times, and 999 times it hit the ground.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because that's what it looks like when it hits the ground.
Rarely, yeah.
And that's what
I'm still not convinced. I haven't seen it slow enough to be able. Like, have you seen a stop?
I'm pretty sure it hit the glove.
Just the glove, no ground at all, because it can't touch at
as a matter
single
of fact,
blade of grass.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it wasn't like the glove was laying on the ground and it hit it, but I think the glove was up and it hit it and bounced into the.
That's crazy.
Boop into that like that.
Yeah, that's a big glove.
A lot of people are, and it's an argument. But even like Tigers fans, man, don't you love Tigers fans? Detroit Tigers, man. You know, just the history of the club, and I mean, it's just like, you hate to root against them, but they're a huge rival and they're hot as heck right now.
Mish is a big Tigers fan.
Yeah,
Zach
it's
Mishler.
just like, isn't it great? Yeah. Like Cleveland and the Tigers playing, and this is the first postseason or contest against either of these teams. They have no
in the history of those two teams.
Yeah.
No, I did not.
They announced that at Game 1 the other day.
I was at the very first game at Primerica Park. It's probably not called Primerica anymore. The Detroit's new stadium. I never did get to go to Old Tiger Stadium. Yeah, which is a travesty. Like
that's the stadium that had the poles.
Had the poles. Yeah. Fenway has them. I sat behind a pole at Fenway.
You can't
kind
see.
of.
You got
the pole was to my right. Like, I could not see the corner of right field.
I can tell you about some foundation poles. We parked in a parking garage that it is just funny because it's like right in the middle of Cleveland. Cleveland's done a nice job of cleaning things up.
I agree. It's a nice city,
and this looks okay on the outside.
Oh,
you
really?
get inside. I was like,
do we want to park next to
me? And the boys were like, is this going to stay up for the game? It was pretty rough, but it was a good parking spot, real close to the stadium. And
cool.
Good stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's
Detroit.
All right. Yeah, I got to go to the very first game. I had basically, I was friends with some guys that had season tickets back in the old stadium, and they continued their season tickets with the new stadium, and one of the guys couldn't go. And it was when we had just moved up to Wauseon. We were on ministry staff up there with that church, and so I drove. I was a fourth guy to go with that group, and it was very memorable because it was as miserable of a day sitting at a baseball game as I've ever had. I mean, I've ever experienced. It was, and our seats were fantastic. I mean, our seats were right behind home plate, about 15 rows up. I was probably on TV like this the whole time, just freezing. It wasn't just cold. It was like 36 degrees and drizzle. Like, so the drizzle, it was raining, but sometimes it was like icy rain.
Yeah, the
like
rain would hurt.
You had a toboggan hat on it, and it was just ice all around it. And yeah, it was miserable. But we stayed for every pitch of that game. It was a cool experience, you know. But
they played through that.
Yeah, they did.
Nobody darn.
Yeah.
Ew.
But we do. High school games do. Teams do.
Yeah. You get
in the spring.
When you get
College.
tricked, coaxed into.
We play through mud games and all kinds of stuff.
Jeez. It was a phenomenal experience though. I love being at Major League Baseball games. Baseball, Major League Baseball. I'd rather be there than watch it on TV. I think football I'd rather watch it on TV than be there.
I'm with you.
But there's something just about being in a baseball stadium. But
don't get me wrong, I love watching baseball on TV.
Well,
but if I had my preference, I would rather go to a game, obviously. But I would not rather go to an NFL game.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I would rather watch it on TV.
But I've never been to a playoff game, postseason game.
Me either.
It's you haven't been? So you've just bought tickets to go?
Yeah, we've tried.
You've never been?
No, well, I've been to a game that felt like playoff atmosphere because I was in St. Louis during the McGuire and Sosa days.
Right. Oh.
And the way people described it, who had been to plenty of playoff games, I mean, St. Louis has been playoff game. I mean, if you live in St. Louis, you've been to a playoff game probably. Yeah. And people are like, dude, the atmosphere that was going on at that time, they're like, this is what it's like during the playoffs. I mean, it's like during World Series. They were saying during World Series. It was crazy. I mean, there were satellite trucks literally all around the old Busch Stadium.
But what I can't imagine is, because I know, like, the first inning, they got a couple runners on. Detroit got a couple runners on, and it was, I mean, every pitch was so intense. Mm-hmm. And that's how it was in the bottom of the first two, as we were scoring. But then after that, it died down because everyone's like,
you had such a lead.
The longer Bibby, the starter, went, everyone was like, we got this. Because and then they have the best
pitching staff,
bullpen in the league.
Yeah.
Well, at least I think so, and I think it's debatable. So everyone was like, just kind of calm down.
You don't want to get into their bullpen.
No.
If they get into their bullpen, they beat you.
5 innings, starters go 5 innings, get to the relievers. But everyone was kind of calmed down then. But that first inning was absolutely electric. Like, you can't, and it was,
and everyone cheers really loud for every strike.
Everything.
If it's a strike, you don't get that in a regular season. Like you'll get a cheer for a strike, but it's edge of your seat.
Not only that, but you feel bad. I'm sure it happens to every visiting team, but they just hammered every introduction that was made for the Detroit Tigers. The fans just booed, and
oh, nice.
It was pretty funny.
I like it.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
Well, last week, something very monumental happened in the world of baseball.
Yep.
Monumental to me, anyway. I don't know. I don't know. You might. It should be. Yeah, if you're a baseball fan, I would assume. But I don't know. That's debatable. I guess depends on how you feel about his off the field stuff. But anyway,
maybe I guess it's how you feel about
what we're talking about
happening as well.
What we're talking about is
the
Hit King died, passed away at 83 years old. I still haven't seen like a report of what he died from. He was dealing with some health issues. I don't know. He was found in his apartment, he was at a hotel, I think.
I actually didn't have any details.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't in great shape, right? I mean, like, he spent his later years just signing autographs for money,
Signing autographs and attending WrestleMania. You know, Pete Rose was
he a wrestling fan?
Wrestling fan. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, he's probably anything he could do to make money on his autograph. I'm sure he would. I had heard also you could actually get him, like, you could get an autograph for $50. If you wanted him to sign "I Bet on Baseball," Pete Rose, he would do that and sign it. Well, I heard a podcast, a reputable podcast, say that they got an autograph with him to say that.
Okay, well, surely people weren't asking for that, because how callous could people be?
Well, I know. But I mean, it's not a secret. It's.
Well, he admitted to that.
Yeah.
He admitted to that.
Yeah, he's never admitted that he bet against the Reds, but he did admit that he bet, on his own team as a manager, to win.
Yeah.
And I tell you what. Yeah, let's get into this. Because I don't want to spend this whole time talking about the off the field stuff. But here's what. This irks me. This gets under my skin. Because I'm a huge Pete Rose fan.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for it. Because he was the first player that I watched play baseball as a little kid. And I learned how to play baseball by watching him. And there's something about Pete. What I love about Pete Rose is this. He made young kids believe that they could be a professional ball player because he was.
Yeah.
And I mean, and he personified that. And that's
somehow
that's different, right? Like you see a guy like Ellie De La Cruz, a Red, today, and you're like, I can't be like him. I wasn't born with that,
Yeah.
But Pete wasn't athletic.
Yeah.
He wasn't as athletic, we should say. I mean, you don't get there without being athletic.
It was a persona.
It was the hard working. It wasn't just that. I mean, have you ever read the history of where he grew up and how he grew up on the river in Cincinnati? The river would come up high enough, and his mom would go out and fish his dad would be off working, for a week or whatever, and his mom would fish off the front porch and catch their dinner and stuff like that. Yeah, he was blue collar. He was blue collar baseball.
Yeah,
100%.
Right.
Worked for everything that he earned. He earned everything he had.
But he was, I would just say, very talented. I don't think it was all.
He could
some
swing a
people
bat.
would argue that it was just, he's Charlie Hustle because that's all. That's what made him who he was. But still very. I mean, he's one of the best in the world.
Yeah, you're going to have he is. He's the best hitter at base hits. Right there, he has a record that will never be broken, in my opinion. I don't think any other baseball player will ever get to 4,256 hits. I don't think any other. He's got all kinds of records in baseball that, not just that one.
Yeah,
he holds the record for at bats. He holds the record for plate appearances. He holds the hits record, of course, 4,256, and he also holds the record for games played in.
Oh, okay.
3,562. He played in 3,562 games.
Yeah, I didn't know that one.
Think about that. That's a lot. I mean, he was in baseball.
He held the consecutive game hit streak up until a few years ago.
Jeter, I think. Did Jeter
beat it?
Did Jeter beat it? Yeah, look that up because he did. Yeah, he had consecutive hit streak.
Was it Jeter?
I feel like Jeter was knocking on the door.
I feel like it was someone not.
Maybe Jeter was knocking on the door of Cal Ripken's record of starts.
Oh, really? I would have thought Cal Ripken consecutive starts. I would have thought Cal Ripken would have been had the all time games played. But I guess not.
He sat out. Listen, Pete Rose never sat out.
Yeah.
Like here, I wrote some things down for this podcast today because I mean, Pete Rose at age 33. This is 1974. He played in 163 games. The next year, in 1975, he played in 162 games. The next year, 1976, he played 162 games. The next year, 1977, he played 162 games. He had a 4-year stint from age 33 to 37 or 36, where he did not miss a single game. Didn't miss a game. Now, and that also includes, because they were in the playoffs back. We're talking a good Reds team, right? World Series Reds team. So that's also talking playoffs. At 41 years old, he played in 162 games in 1982. I'll tell you why that one hit me. Because I played in an old man's tournament one weekend at 41 years of age. And I remember how I felt. I mean, I just, the way that son of a gun played the game, as hard as you can play it. I mean, one of the things I love about watching Tennessee, the Volunteers play, the College World Series champions, is, man, they play hard. A lot of those guys play like Pete. And that AstroTurf was, I mean, it was just ridiculously hard to play on. The way that he slid into bases, like Pete didn't head first slide. Pete body
He
slam.
flew.
He dove. Look up
You can
Pete
see
Rose.
pictures.
Look up Pete Rose head first slide sometime, and you're not going to see what it looks like a head first slide. I mean, he's that far off the ground. It's unbelievable. So you're not. I mean, there's no way that he was not hurt, that he was not injured, playing 4 consecutive years of never missing a single game.
Just played through it.
You tell me who are we going to ever see in the game like that today?
You won't, because of the money involved. They won't allow that to happen. The investment.
Well, at one time, he was the highest paid player too.
But still,
in the game.
the investment.
I think he was the first one to sign a $100,000 contract, which is crazy to think.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's the way that it's more. The analytics are more involved now. You know, they're not going to let players put themselves in a situation where they could be out longer than what they could.
Speaking of money, and speaking of what the MLB is not going to allow players to do, let's go back to that off the field thing here for a second. The most noticeable face in the game of baseball right now is probably Shohei Ohtani in the world. Right, because you've got the Japanese. You know, it's a growing market for MLB as well, and of course he's phenomenal. Right,
I'm interested in what you're going to say here.
But you cannot tell me, Pat, that son of a gun didn't bet on baseball
based off of what came out recently.
Yeah, well, and
that's what
his trainer, or his translator took all of the heat for those millions of dollars that were just misplaced out of Ohtani's wallet. I'm sorry. This is an example to me. This is an O.J. Simpson example to me right here. Everybody knows that guy did this. Everybody knows.
Wait, you think O.J.'s
Are you an
guilty?
O.J. truther, Pat?
The gloves didn't fit, man. You got to quit.
Right. But no, I'm a believer. I do believe that something happened there, and nothing came of it. Nothing came.
Yeah,
of
matter of fact, it just seemed to die.
It went away.
There's a lot of hypocrisy.
There's a lot of
Major League
hypocrisy in
Baseball.
Yeah.
And to me, I mean, Pete Rose is in.
We let this guy die without putting him in the Hall of Fame.
We did, but it hurts the Hall of Fame more than it hurts him.
Oh, without
what I mean, the credibility of it, because he's in there. You know,
some of his stuff's in there.
Yeah. So I mean, he's there. Like, they recognize who he was. They just don't want to officially name him a member of the Hall of Fame. And I mean, it's really it used to be sad, but to me it just fits now, because for me, and I don't care. What are they going to do? Not let me go to Major League games anymore? I think the administration of Major League Baseball is one of the most corrupt organizations in the history of our world. That's
second, maybe only just a little bit above the NFL,
or I was going to say the NCAA.
Oh yeah,
but there's that. If Shohei is not betting, someone is, and someone has,
and he was connected to it. And,
yes,
and according to MLB, right, the rule, the cardinal rule of being involved in any possible way, of betting on baseball,
right? Because that's what they say when it comes
that's
to Pete Rose, because he bet it.
He was an unlikable guy too.
It was never about, did he alter the game? Did he throw the game? Like, the Joe Jackson in 1918 White Sox.
And I get, like, I'm not a fan, like, believe it or not, as much as I love Pete Rose, I don't believe he should have been allowed back in the game of baseball as a manager, right? Because for years he wanted to come back and manage. Reds fans were saying, man, we'd love to have Pete manage. Let him back. I'm like, no, what he did deserves to be banned for life, but he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Well, I mean, you think about this, though. Yeah, you didn't bet against your team, but did you always bet? Like, were you betting every day? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if, let's say you bet on the Reds today, but you don't tomorrow, but you're going to the next day, are you going to manage a little differently tomorrow? Maybe hold some guys out and play them the next day instead of, you know what I'm saying? That's a slippery slope, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a slippery slope.
there's no way for us to know any of that he did any of that.
I guess for me, it comes down
manager.
to like one thing that really just gets me about Major League Baseball is we go through the steroid era.
Yeah,
and how
there's another group of people. Yeah.
They knew that these guys
being
owners,
MLB, yeah,
yes, that these guys were using steroids, and they let them save their butts. Baseball was dying, from a marketing perspective. No one was watching it. No, people didn't care about it, and then everyone started hitting home runs.
And also, they had just been on strike in 96.
Was it 96 or 94? One of those two.
Maybe 94. But I remember that was one of the big conversations. Well, that was the Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa years talking about that. I mean, those
saved their butts.
Mm-hmm. They
and
let
then
it happen.
They stabbed them in the back. And who's one of the biggest sponsors of baseball right now? Is the gambling industry.
I know.
Major League Baseball.
Talk about hypocrisy.
Yeah, they're making billions of dollars off of the gambling industry. People betting on them.
Yeah, I hate that.
But yeah, it's a cardinal sin in the game of baseball to bet. And my thing is, okay, what about beating your wife? We have guys in the Hall of Fame that have been charged, accused of beating their wife. What about drugs? What about crime in general? Those aren't cardinal sins, but gambling is. I get it. You can impact the way that the outcome of the game, and that hurts the integrity of the game. But come on, it.
But when it comes to the Hall of Fame, granted, there are people who are in the Hall of Fame because of their coaching career, but Pete deserves to be in the Hall of Fame based on what he did on the field.
Sure. And
there's zero question that while he was on the field playing as a player, that he gave. I mean, that wasn't when the betting took place, according to their investigation. Right? It was as a manager. May have been as a player manager. I don't know when they actually how far back they go. I've read some of the books, but because he was a player manager he played for 24 years. And which is absolutely astounding number, by the way, to play for 24 years and to be late in your career not missing a game. But he let's see, when did he become a player manager? In 1984 to 89, he was a manager for 5 years, and for 3 of those, 84, 85, and 86, he was a player manager. And I remember when he came out when he was a manager of the Reds, his first year in '84, we were at the first game where he put himself in the game.
Really?
It's pretty cool. It was really cool.
I bet it got loud.
Oh, every time Pete came up to bat in Cincinnati, it was loud. I mean, listen,
but that was
the name Pete Rose is synonymous with the city of Cincinnati. I don't care what if you're not a baseball fan or what. You can be the hugest Bengals fan you want to be. Boomer Esiason, those guys. They were great guys. Ickey Woods, big names. Pete Rose is the biggest name in Cincinnati. He has a street named after him right in front of the ballpark. The number 14 will never be. I mean, you will never think about the number 14 in the Cincinnati area without thinking Pete Rose. And I mean, it is. He is when he was in the lineup. You always believed the Reds had a chance to win. That was what kind of influence he had on the team.
And that was because of the way that he played. Not just because of his skill, but that's that persona.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sure. Yeah.
Well, the Hall of Fame isn't owned by Major League Baseball.
Right.
It's ran by a private entity.
Right.
But, if they wanted to vote him in, they could.
Yeah. Private entities that are closely linked to the I mean, in a mafia sort of way to the and the other thing, you go back and you read all the different books that have been written about this. Everybody will tell you if Bart Giamatti had not died when he did, there was a good chance that bygones that he would have been able to come in, but because it was Bart Giamatti's decision,
and now they're steadfast. We cannot maintain.
We cannot, and it's in honor of him we got to keep this. Otherwise, it would be like saying he was wrong, or
Which I'm sure he was never wrong in his life.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, he never bet on anything in his life.
Did Joe Namath bet on the Super Bowl the Jets played the Colts in?
I don't know. Did he? Is that a Joe Namath thing?
Well, my question.
Joe was known for a lot of things.
Did he wager anything when he sat in front of a camera and said, "I guarantee we're going to win"?
That's true. He
did.
Yeah.
His reputation.
Yeah.
Right. If they had lost that game, everyone would have laughed at Joe
Right.
Namath. And because they won the game, Joe Namath really
went down in history as
I mean, he had that year, and that's what made everyone knows Joe Namath mainly because
that's true.
Of that guarantee.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
All the women he had on underneath his arms too. His
true,
ladies' man,
and or the ones that he tried exactly. But I don't know. To me, it's you risk things.
Yeah.
In life, and that's you gamble on things, and that's what he did. And to me, it's not like if they found that he, threw games.
Yeah. Well, that takes you all the way back to 1918 and the Chicago Black Sox,
right?
And that whole travesty there, and that's really that's the history. Like people wonder why does baseball have such a hard line about betting, right? Well, if you go back to 1918, 1919, that time period during the Great Depression when players were being bribed by these bookies and the wealthy, because Major League Baseball players weren't the wealthy ones. They were out there just trying to playing a game that they love, obviously, but they weren't making much money.
Right.
They weren't making anything. They were trying to feed their families, literally. I hate it when I hear somebody say that today and they're getting ready to sign a $38 million contract. Right? But they were literally trying to feed their families.
Yeah.
And they had an opportunity to make a little more money by throwing games. And when they did that, it puts a question mark on everything. Who wants to watch a game when you know that the outcome has been determined by by a parlay? Bunch of parlays.
Mm-hmm.
So, I brought this book in too because this book was a book that I did a book report on, a free choice book report in junior high.
Okay.
Junior high, 7th grade. It was written in 1985. It's one of the first books that Pete wrote, actually, which I don't know if Pete actually wrote it, but I mean, it's written as though Pete wrote it. And it's called Pete Rose on Hitting, but the first third or so of the chapters of this book is just Pete Rose on baseball, like Pete Rose on his thoughts and his ideas about how the game should be played. And so I did this as a book report when I was in 7th grade, and then I actually later in high school when after, like, it was 1989 when he got banned, and then he wrote a book called My Story.
Man, it seems like I was very young then.
You were.
It seemed like I was more aware of the situation than what I should have been at that age. I was
think
8 years old.
You just know, like Pete Rose. I mean,
well,
Pete Rose is baseball,
and it
man.
carried on.
Yeah.
One infinity that I really like. Do you think Pete Rose looks like Roger Stewart?
100%. I've always said that.
I do too.
It's the mouth. I always wondered, are we related in some way to the Rose family?
Because they do look very. They have very similar facial.
And Roger's not the only Stewart that has that. Like my grandpa had it as well, Ross Bud Stewart, and that's his brother.
All right.
All those brothers, like my dad's uncles, they all have that. Like when you watch Pete talk,
yes,
I see Roger Stewart.
Yeah, me too.
It's pretty wild. And Roger met him. Roger knew him.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Yeah, with that hitting machine that he invented and everything. So
yeah, I'm sure he did.
I never did shake Pete Rose's hand. I have a signed picture of his 4,192nd hit that broke Ty Cobb's record. My parents bought a photo, and it's autographed.
By the way, Joe DiMaggio owns the
that's right
hit streak. 56.
The consecutive. But
He's
Pete was in the chase for
he
that.
had 44.
Though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay. So that was, and Derek Jeter was, I think, he was close.
Yeah,
Derek was like at 40 or 41, something like that.
I didn't see.
He was close to Pete, I
he
believe.
ended up. Ty Cobb was 40.
Okay.
Some more
consecutive
games with a hit.
With a hit. That's hard to do.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
yeah, but yeah, I don't think that might be another one of those records that you don't want to say it'll never be broken, because a guy like Ohtani certainly could.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's tough with the pitching today.
Yeah. I don't see Jeter there. Ty Cobb actually owns 2 of the highest, 40 and 35.
Ty Cobb in the Hall of Fame?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't liked, but I don't think he didn't do anything.
It's hard to find some. Yeah. He was just hard.
Was Pete Rose listed in Sporting News baseball's 100 greatest players? Probably. And that's
surely he was.
I think that's the thing. It's like the Hall of Fame is really fan driven. I mean, we give the Hall of Fame its credibility.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's why they put the things that they do in the Hall of Fame from Pete Rose, because they know that when anyone thinks of Pete Rose, they think of a Hall of Fame baseball player. We should put that as a poll. We can create polls.
We can.
We should put a poll up. Should Pete Rose, or is Pete Rose a Hall of Famer to you? Maybe that's the bigger question.
Yeah.
To get out of the red tape. I don't want any technicalities here. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Right. Is he or is he not?
When you think of the greatest ball players ever, do you think of Pete Rose?
Oh, yeah.
Of course you do.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna throw some other names out there too. Barry Bonds is a Hall of Famer.
I agree.
There's no question.
He was a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer.
Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer by rule before he ever started taking steroids.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I 100% believe Barry Bonds took steroids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Me too.
Even though he still never admitted it.
But we know pitchers took steroids too, right? Because of the guy that you just said.
Oh, yeah, Roger Clemens. Yeah.
But I mean, when you're in a situation where 75% of the league is taking steroids,
and you're still dominating them, Bonds dominating them in the batter's box, Clemens dominating them on the mound.
Right? Yeah, sure.
Right?
And if you don't,
they're taking it too.
I mean, to me, it was an equal playing field.
Yeah. Andy Pettitte didn't
people
take
that knew
him.
it. Did Andy not?
I don't think Andy did.
I don't know.
Why was he in front of the Senate though? Or was it Senate hearing?
Can't remember. He lied about something.
Man, those Senate hearings were just that was bizarre. That was a bizarre time.
It's funny you bring up the Senate when we're talking about character.
Yeah,
we allow
there you go.
We allow people with worse character than Pete Rose to run our country, but he can't be in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
Obviously, two different.
Yeah. Speaking of voting, right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So I mean, two different controlling interests there. But
well, Hall of Fames are interesting because before we came on here and started talking today, I was telling you about how I nominated. He probably listens to our podcast. That I nominated Coach Gibson 3 years ago to be in the Ohio State Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame as a coach, as a baseball coach. Now, in everybody in the Southeast District's mind, like I was talking to a guy who's on the board this morning, and he's like, he's without a doubt a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Like we know he is, but the problem is, the Hall of Fame has objective criteria that are it's a number system based on how many championships you've won and things like that. How many state appearances did you have? And he didn't have any in high school. I mean, daggone, they won the World Series in senior league, senior pony. Went to the World Series in Little League, went to the American Legion World Series, and I think came in second maybe in that. Had some pretty darn good years as a coach. Not only coach baseball, coach basketball, but here's the thing. You can't quantify the impact that this man has had on the game of baseball, on people in this community. If you go into the town of Athens, into the plains, and you mention anything about Athens High School, and you say, if you had to put a biggest, like a name to the word Athens Bulldogs, a name, a face, who would it be? It would be Fred Gibson. There's just no doubt. It might be Ethel Pierce. Ethel just turned 100 years old, and she comes to every single game.
We were going to see.
We got to watch Ethel throw the first pitch out. We need to get Ethel on.
That's what we talked about. We should try that,
man. We're gonna do that.
All right.
She will be a hoot to talk to, and she'll blow you away at how much she knows about sports. She sits at Athens basketball games. Back when I was doing DJing, I was playing the music for basketball games at Athens, and she would sit there. Because she has a designated seat at every Athens sporting event. Gets in. I mean, you're the Athens biggest fan, so she comes. She would sit there, and I would hear her saying, "Boy, I don't know why coach has got us in this full court press. We can't keep up with these guys. We need to play a half court game here." And she'll go home and rewatch the games on Nelsonville TV cable. Staying up late at night and watch the game that she just watched live and just kind of break down the film and talk about it with you the next time she sees you. It's fascinating, man.
That's awesome. She
is. And 100 years old. And but Gibby's he just turned 78 this year.
Yeah.
And there is nobody else that I've ever met in my life except for Pat Martin. You're on your way to this, who in a school district that goes to every single. The only reason he doesn't go to like every tennis match or every golf match is because it coincides with like soccer or something that he is at. Like it doesn't matter what the sport is. If there's a game going on at Athens High School, he's there. And he's usually there doing a job. Doing the PA or working on TV, broadcasting it. He knows every single one of those kids. He still teaches in the classroom as a substitute teacher, even though he retired back in 2007, I believe. There is just like, so here you go. Who else would you want representing your Hall of Fame than a coach with that kind of longevity? A coach that's had that kind of impact on the lives of thousands of people.
Here's what I would say. It doesn't have the credentials from a
point system standpoint.
An arbitrary system, which is
I get it. I understand. Yeah.
Put him in so that when people ask, why is he in with these numbers, you can tell the story.
You could tell his story. Yeah.
And nothing more would better promote Ohio high school baseball and what high school baseball should be about and what it is than that story that will be told because someone wants to know.
Yeah.
If someone asked.
Yeah.
Someone wants to know.
Still,
but you know what?
Ask.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter because, even when you go back to Pete Rose and being in the Hall of Fame, the fans decide how your legacy, what your legacy is. And to me, there's no doubt in my mind, if we do put that poll up, I'd be interested to see. But I'm guessing 80% at the minimum are baseball people.
Across the board.
Because
it's higher than that in Cincinnati.
Oh, for sure.
It would be close to 100% in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I really don't. I've never heard. I've never met someone that said Pete Rose shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
Here's the proof of it. 2000, was it 2002? What year was it? It may have been later than that. I don't know. But it was at the All-Star game, the MLB All-Star game, it was the first time they allowed him to walk onto a baseball field, right? Because they were recognizing the all-century team or something like that. And some of the greatest, like the players that have broken records, and like they carted out. Ted Williams was there, and Pete was there, and the ovation, because I remember Jim Lay, the journalist,
asked him
got the interview, and the first thing he wanted to ask was about betting on baseball, and Pete just shut him down, which I love. Everybody wanted to punch Jim Lay in the face. I mean, it was, but the moment, because he was like, man, the moment that we just had
probably
here,
just doing his job.
Yeah,
I would have refused Jim.
Oh, me too. Yeah, but and that's what Pete's word was. Man, this great moment for baseball, and you want to focus on me. I mean, and even there, Pete. Well, very first chapter in this book, How to Win. Put the team first. Selfish players are losers.
Nice.
Right? Pete wasn't. Pete had some great individual records, but he was the model team player. The model team, because he knew he wasn't going to be a winner if everybody else around me wasn't at their best. And even there at that game, that All-Star game where he was recognized with a bunch of other guys, he was not even thinking about himself personally. But man, the ovation that he got and the tears, I mean, like it went on. I remember where I was. I was at Vic Kale's house, a friend of mine up in Wasion. We were watching the MLB All-Star game on his couch. And I'll never forget because I was sitting there with tears streaming down my face because for the first time in years we got to see Pete Rose on a field, and this was the welcome that he got back from the people, not
Right.
the writers and not the upper admin of MLB, from the fans that actually are the reason why you even have a sport to begin with.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all you need to know. That's the end of the story.
It is.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, if he's not ever put in, it's a travesty. You know?
I agree.
And, yeah, I mean, it is to this point anyway, in my opinion. But if he's never put in, it just makes the Hall of Fame silly, in my opinion. And the same is true with those other guys. Put an asterisk in. Say it's a steroid era, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Have a section in the Hall of Fame called the steroid era. Right?
Yeah.
I think Colin Cowherd actually argues for that, and that's the one thing that Colin Cowherd and I agree with probably, is have a section. Like, these guys deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. McGuire, Sosa, Jose Canseco, who's the guy that...
Rafael.
Rafael Palmeiro.
Read my lips.
Yes. I mean, that was a bizarre time. Like, Sosa could speak English. I saw the man in person speaking English in St. Louis because they were playing the Cubs when McGuire tied the 61 home runs in a single season record. And Sosa and McGuire were together. I watched those two having a conversation down in front of the dugout, hearing him speak English. But he gets in front of the Senate and he was like, I don't know no English. I can't know how to speak English. I was like, that's clever, Sammy. Yeah. That's clever, buddy. That's a good job.
Yeah,
that's what happened to Shohei.
Seems like simpler times.
I don't know. It was my translator.
When our government had to worry about baseball.
Yeah. The government had baseball players sitting in front of them.
I feel like they got distracted
weeks.
along the way. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking to see if there's any Pete Rose stats that I left out here. Let's see. He's the hit king, obviously. Yeah. Yeah. You ever use Pete Rose as an example when you're coaching? Like, kids today won't know. Like, I've said his name before, and they have highlights they can go back and look at, but he's not as much of an impact to them.
It's odd because I feel like you try to, those examples that you look for, you try to find, it's normally about preparation and approach, more so than their greatness or their success or anything like that. You know what I mean? And you don't hear about it as much anymore, like the greatness of, or who Pete Rose was compared to the guys that play now. Like, those legacies aren't as great for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that there's guys that obviously work very hard and are unbelievable in their commitment to the game, but it just seems like those stories used to be more important. Than what they are now. And
I want to get out highlight. Maybe I'll put together a highlight film this year of Pete. Yeah. I'm gonna take that on as a project. Maybe find clips of Pete and said this is how you play the game. This is how you play the game, right here.
I mean, if you want a correlation, watch the All-Star game. Watch how it's played now, and watch how he played it.
The All-Star game. Speaking of that, the All-Star game. The way the All-Star game is approached by players today and by MLB in general and played, there's an argument that changed because of Pete Rose. That Pete, was it what year was it? He wrote about it here. When Pete just destroyed Ray Fosse, was it the Red Sox catcher?
Yeah.
American League catcher Ray Fosse in the 1970 All-Star game. Well, here's what Pete has to say about it. He's talking about being aggressive. All right. This is the guy that said, I'd walk through hell in a gasoline suit to play baseball. He also said, I don't care if I'm playing in a Major League Baseball game, a World Series game, or a church picnic game, I'm playing to win. And because people were asking him about this play. So he's talking about being aggressive, what it means, taking chances, armed with conviction that you know you're going to make the play because you're prepared and you're hustling. You're going to succeed. He said, everyone made a big deal out of the collision that I had at the plate with American League catcher Ray Fosse in the 1970 All-Star game. I wasn't doing anything but trying to score from second on a one-hopper to center field. He said, I was going to slide, but I saw that he had blocked the plate. So I determined that the only way I could score would be to bowl him over.
Which was legal, perfectly legal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was legal.
It's not now, but it was then.
Hey, kids, this was legal in American Legion baseball all the way through about 90. It was until the mid-90s, probably.
Yeah.
I watched Jeff McElroy Cheese just destroy a catcher from Pickerington.
I've heard that story.
I mean, absolutely. The kid's glove, face mask, it went 3 to 5 different directions. He was out. I mean, Jeff was he was fullback, and he could run, and he was huge.
I took out a catcher one time.
I mean, he was a bowling ball.
Because I grew up watching these guys, I didn't know you weren't allowed to do it in little.
Yeah, that's right.
I blew him up, but he was much bigger than me, much stronger than me. I just caught him completely by surprise.
There you go. Well, Pete ended Ray Fosse's career.
Much. Kind of.
Didn't end it.
Yeah.
Changed it.
You think he got him up here? I mean, he was still able to play.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know.
But he's like, I bowled him over, right? I bowled him over, and that's what I did. I've done that many times before, but because of the situation, because it was an all-star game, the newspapers devoted a lot of space to the play. And here's what he said: I don't want non-aggressive players on my team. Like I don't want non-aggressive players on my team. So why would I be not just like? And so that's kind of and that's what people are like. Yeah, but it was an all-star game. He's like, and that's when he said, I don't care if it's a church picnic game. If you're blocking the plate, I'm playing to win, and I'm going to bowl you over, right? I mean, Fosse was playing to win too. He could have moved out of the way. He didn't.
That's true.
He didn't have to block the plate.
That's true.
I'm
Yeah.
So I don't know.
No, I don't blame him at all. I don't know that anyone does.
Blame him for that.
It's only a story of
accolades.
It was
the sports writers.
The sports writers said that they should.
They made it a story.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Can I just read a little bit more from Pete Rose?
Yeah.
I love some of this. I know we need to end here soon. Here's how his book begins. I love baseball. I love to play well, and I love to win. Most of all, I love to play the game the way I feel it ought to be played. Though I have been in the major leagues for over 20 years, my feelings toward the game have not changed since I was a little leaguer growing up in Cincinnati. This book is entitled Pete Rose on Hitting, but I feel very strongly that I must first teach you the right attitude toward the game, the right way to look at what you're trying to do, the right way to approach going up to the plate with a bat in your hands. Before I can begin to tell you how to bat, never mind how to bat better than anybody else. Just to teach you the physical skills as a player that a player needs is not enough, for there are 2 separate aspects of this great game. The first is playing. Almost anyone can play. All you need is a bat, a ball, and a glove. The second is winning, and that's much harder. To play and to not have the joy of winning is sad and unnecessary, because all it takes to become a winning player is a certain way of looking at the game. I also feel that unless you play the game with a winning attitude, you cannot reach your potential as an individual player. Selfish players may have impressive statistics, but they're losers wherever they go. This is why I love Pete Rose.
Good stuff.
I mean, he, I mean, we could probably go on another hour-long podcast talking about, well, should we have heroes that have bad character? Right?
Sure.
Because I don't think anyone would say that this man's character was at the top of the list when it came to baseball players, right? You could put a lot better characters above him.
Probably.
I'm sure, right?
Yeah. I mean, but character is built on what people know. Oh,
are you judging a guy's heart?
Yeah, there's no argument.
And there's also a way to judge fruit that comes out of that overflows from the heart.
Point, yeah.
So
I mean,
there's arguments all the way around.
What's the scale? Are we using a scale of perfection? Because if we are,
yeah.
I mean, if you have to be perfect to have good character,
right.
There's going to be a problem with that. Because there's only going to be one eligible Hall of Famer.
Absolutely, and we killed him.
Yes, we did.
The one perfect person.
Yes, we did.
We put on a cross.
Yeah.
But no, Pete Rose definitely does not belong in that same conversation as that man. Because,
no.
granted, he was not the most likable guy. He was not the guy that I would say to my kids, be like him as a man necessarily. I don't know. I mean, but when you watch him play baseball, I would say to my players and to my kids, play like him. Yeah. Play like him on the field. And I think, so then there you go. Is it okay to separate those two things? Can you separate those two things?
I think when you're talking to your son, when you're talking to your daughter, you want them to be the best version of them they are. You don't want them to be anyone else.
Yeah.
But in order for them to be the best version of them, they're going to take things from other people.
Exactly.
From other people that have done great things in different areas. It's not,
That's what a mentor is. And someone that you look up to, they're going to make mistakes in their life.
Yeah.
But you're going to want to follow some aspects of their life that are helpful.
Yes, absolutely.
They're useful in your own. I mean, we learn from people. We learn from their mistakes as much as we do their successes. And so,
a lot of times.
Yeah, I'm not going to write him up. I'm not going to throw the whole baby out with the bathwater, so to speak.
Yeah, sure.
Right, in that situation.
Right.
So.
Last thing for Pete Rose, because I always used to tell a story with Ty Cobb, but I saw an interview the other day, like even before we decided to talk about Pete Rose, and he said this. He was talking to, I can't remember, it was a news reporter.
This was Pete?
This was Pete, and he said that he was asked what he thought he would hit against today's pitchers. And he said he didn't know, 150, 165. And they said, do you think they're that much better? And he said, no, I'm 81 years old.
Yes.
Are you crazy? I'm 81.
That's awesome.
So I think Ty Cobb was actually the first one to tell that story, but that's the first time I heard Pete tell
so
it.
he did repeat a lot of Ty Cobb stuff.
Now I'm going to always tell it.
It's attributed as Pete Rose story. Yeah.
So it was good stuff. But.
Speaking of batting average, do you know what the league average is as of right now? Like as of today, like at the end of the season, I guess, the end of the regular season, what the league batting average is?
No, my boys told me this.
It was bad this year.
But was it? It was. I mean, bad compared, but was it like 270?
Low 200s, I think. Something
Low
like
200s?
I think so. Or mid
really?
200, 240 something maybe. I'll look it up. I don't know. Let's ask Siri.
Yeah. Why is that, Coach?
Hey Siri, what is the league average for batting average in MLB this year? Oh, I found this on the web. I got the sound turned off. The league average. I don't know. I'm gonna have to click on it and look it up. It's going to be a mystery for this podcast episode. But
we haven't started the music
I think it was
yet.
What's that?
We haven't started the music yet.
That's true. That's true. I don't know there were seasons. Pete. I mean, I think there was one season where he hit 368 on the season. And 100 points better than today's entire league average.
Would you say that is partly because he had a much better two-strike approach than the hitters of today?
Well, why did he have so many hits? Yeah, I mean, answer that. I mean, his contact ratio was just. I mean, his strikeout to contact ratio was just off the charts.
I love that argument though of people getting sick of watching hitters strike out because all they're trying to do is hit home runs and stuff like that, and the value of it. It's very similar to the 3-point shot in the NBA.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, Pete would. You'll see if you look up, just Google Pete Rose with 2 strikes. You'll see him on top of the plate. I mean, he practically leaned out over the plate anyway with his stance. And you'll see the bat choked up. I mean, he's at least 2 inches up on the bat. I mean, he did the 2, 2, 2, choke up 2 inches, move closer to the plate 2 inches, 2 inches closer to the pitcher, 2 inches wider feet, and just put the bat on the ball. And he was a switch hitter. Mm-hmm. So, that helps. I mean, he taught himself how to hit both sides. Let me ask you this. What position did Pete Rose play?
Third base.
That's the one you remember him playing.
Right.
He got moved to third base so that George Foster could play outfield, though. When they brought George Foster in, Pete was an outfielder, and he played third base. He also played first base. He also played a little second base.
He played third for Phillies, didn't he?
He probably did. Yeah, he was.
No, he didn't. No, he wouldn't
have. Was he there when Schmidt was there? Was he there when Schmidt was there? Yeah.
Yeah, so he'd have played outfield.
It was first base. First base. He played anywhere. Like Pete went to the All-Star games as a utility player.
Yeah.
Basically, the answer to that question is wherever they needed him to play. That was just that's something else that's just great about Pete Rose. I'll never forget when A-Rod was signed with the Yankees, and A-Rod was a shortstop, probably one of the greatest shortstops to play. Would have been one of the greatest shortstops to ever play the game. He ended up being one of the greatest third basemen to ever play. But he gets signed by the Yankees, and everybody's like, "We're going to move Derek Jeter, Mr. Yankee, right?" And the answer to that is, of course, because A-Rod's a better shortstop. But they didn't.
I didn't think he was. Was he statistically?
He would. Ability wise, absolutely.
Really?
I think so. I mean, Jeter was phenomenal, right?
Sure.
But A-Rod was a better athlete. I think there are people that would argue that A-Rod would have been the better shortstop.
Yeah.
But where do you put
Cruz
Jeter?
is a better
Here's
athlete,
the difference.
But Jeter's the better
But
shortstop.
here's the difference. You can put A-Rod anywhere, right? Jeter was a short. When you think Jeter, you think shortstop.
Yeah.
You think
Yeah, he
A-Rod,
could've played
he could play. Well, Ellie De La Cruz is a good example of that. As he's the modern day Pete Rose in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ellie plays anywhere.
But he primarily plays shortstop now, right?
Primarily plays shortstop, but he'll play third.
That's so weird.
He played third base last year when I went to watch.
Yeah.
He's been in the outfield. He
But
played. No, he's at shortstop because he relayed a ball from deep outfield, and they showed what it was on the gun when he relayed it in. They gunned a guy at home plate, and it was 99 miles an hour.
Do you get into the WAR number much? Do you mess with that much?
A little bit.
But basically, it's what they feel, what analysts feel is a better predictor of how a player impacts a game.
Right.
But LA leads the league in errors.
Oh, I believe that too.
But
Throwing errors mostly.
He's got one. Well, balls hit right to him.
Oh, routine ground balls. Yeah.
But he's got like one of the highest WAR numbers.
Huh.
Because of the insane plays that he makes,
that's
like
true.
balls in the hole that
Yeah.
he's able to throw off his back foot or whatever. It's just
Give and take. Yeah, you're going to get. And shortstops do have the most errors. Shortstops rack up the most errors because you get the most balls hit to you. But,
but it's just weird because normally his is like routine plays.
Yeah, that is.
Like,
I've seen
he'll
him
boot a ball that's hit right to him on an easy roller, and then the next one he goes into the deep hole behind third base and throws the guy out.
Yeah, I remember
he throws it 200 miles per hour across the infield.
Well, I saw him lay up on a throw that he went across second base bag and fielded on the second base side. Knew he had a bunch of time, so he kind of lobbed it over, and it pulled the first baseman off the bag, and so that's his error.
Surprising.
This wasn't this year, I don't think. It was last year, but it's
good player.
One that I remember. Yeah.
I'd still play Jeter over him on short though.
Over him at short?
Yeah.
I would too. Jeter is the shortstop.
Yeah.
Second to Cal Ripken.
I think Brian Ripken.
Cal Ripken Jr.
Brian Riccio is the shortstop. Guardians current.
There you
shortstop.
go. The entire Guardians team. Go Guardians. So who do you got? You making any predictions for the World Series? Who's going to be in it? You got to go with.
If I'm a betting man, picking the Guardians.
What's what you saying here?
I'm picking the Guardians.
So Guardians.
I think
who in the NL?
I think Dodgers are going to win it still. Yeah, and I think Yankees are the favorite.
I would love to see the Phillies and the Guardians.
I think the Phillies are.
They're out of it tonight.
Toast. Yeah. The Mets are hot.
Yeah,
and the Tigers.
It's too
are
bad
hot.
that they're playing in Queens right now because that stadium was electric last night, and they fought back. They made a fight.
Yeah.
So
We'll know next week.
yeah, they'll know before they listen to this.
That's
won.
true. Yeah. Right.